Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. I'm here with the coach, John Brent.
And I'm here with the vet, Mr. Ian Cowboy Griffin. What's up, man?
Man, it is a gorgeous day in Cowboy Nation. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Hey, there's no doubt about it. My dad used to say you can always tell if the Cowboys won or not. If you was in a coma and you woke up on Monday, it's how they walk down the street with a smile or with a frown. You know if the Cowboys won on Monday morning.
Yeah, I think we got a pep in our step for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Looking good, looking good.
So we got a whole bunch of Pittsburgh natives here. And you can start out introducing, I can start out introducing. It matters not to me. However, which way you want to go, Coach, I don't care.
I'm going to go right past you to a good-looking guy over there on the right-hand side of the stage. Look at him. Just his hand up like, look at this. This is a great guy here. I mean, I've known this guy my whole life. Pittsburgh, Texas. Not only that, First Baptist Church of Pittsburgh that long ago. Mr. Craig Toney, looky here.
Glad to be here, man. I'm loving it. Love these guys. Alan Bailey, great to see you on here. Jerry Jackson, man, it's just good. You got this show is amazing. It's good, and listen to you guys all the time, and it's an honor to be on here tonight. So I'm looking forward to it.
I got to throw a subliminal message out here. Here we go. God Unleashed by the notorious author Craig Toney, class of 1987, freaking kicking butt over there in Sulphur Springs, Texas, in many multiple ways. You got to go out and check it out. Love it. Go ahead, Craig. What you got?
All good, man. Thanks for giving that shout out. Just wrote that about a year ago, but man, it's just fun to be on here with you guys. I love it. When you guys started this, I'm like, man, the conversations are amazing. The stuff's good and it counts. That's what I really like. I mean, the stuff that you listen to and the stuff you guys say, it makes a difference, you know, and I don't know how many followers you got, how many listeners you got, but you need more because what you're talking about is real deal stuff. And I'm honored to call all four of you friends. And it's an honor to be on here. Lifelong friends, all kinds of fun.
Man, we feel the same way for sure. Vet, who are these guys down here at the bottom? These two, look at them. They got the beards on. They got the hats on, got the Army and the Cowboys. I got to know what's going on here.
So I'll introduce the Army guys, okay? So down below is class 1987, the handsome quarterback from 1987, Alan Bailey right there. He's a cannon cocker, field artilleryman, former first sergeant, freaking the baddest, bravest guy I know ever ride a freaking helicopter in my life, Mr. Alan Bailey himself.
Man, thank you for having me on again. Hey, man, I love every time I get on here. It's highlight of my week. So I'll be able to go all week with a smile on my face. Man, and Ian cannot pass up opportunity to talk about that helicopter. I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, no, he got that helicopter, baby.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's good to see Craig and Jerry again and Brent. It's always good to see everybody. Man, ain't nothing like having a Pittsburgh reunion by the World Wide Web. And because every time I'm in Pittsburgh, somebody's gone.
Oh,
yeah, that's unfortunate there. Before we move on, though, Alan, I got to get you to tell me about this photo.
Hey, look at hey, that's the truth right there. Win, lose, or die. Not just because we don't win a Super Bowl. That's my team, always. I ain't going to jump ship and go root for the Chiefs or the Raiders or whoever. I mean, I wouldn't root for the Chiefs now. They're 2-2. Two back-to-back losses to – they only beat scrubs.
Well, hey, I just want to tell you, when we get down to December, I think we'll know who's going to be there.
Well, we don't know yet. So we're going to throw it out there to Mr. Jerry Jackson, a lifelong friend, former Sprites. Him and I played on the same team together. Our dads coached together. Man, I've known Jerry a long time. He wake me up in Germany when I was over there at freaking 2 a.m. and say, Ian, what the flip are you doing? I'm like, why are you calling me at 2 a.m? He's got evidence on me that I'll never be able to run for Congress and stuff like that. But we'll talk about it another time off air. Moving along. We got great Jerry Jackson right here, right now.
Man, it's good to be here. Good to see everybody. Craig, good to see you, man. We go way back. My wife and I talk about Craig often. Our son, our basketball player son, he reminds me of Craig Toney when he was that age, tall, lanky, and just out playing ball. So that's a lot of fun. But John Brent, did you watch the game today?
I did. I watched you. It was kind of tough for me, so I had to give Alan a little bit of props. I was watching the Chiefs and the Cowboys back at the same time because I was cooking and I was going back and forth. But I caught myself, be honest with you, more confident that the Cowboys are going to win than the Chiefs was going to win there for a while. So I was watching more of the Chiefs game because I thought Cowboys got this. But when I did turn back, I mean, I'll tell you right now, we're going to get into this, but I'm really, really impressed with the Cowboys defense more than I have ever said that in a number of years. I'm just going to start there.
I just want to make sure you're watching.
Oh, no doubt.
We got a lot to talk about here in a little bit.
Look, we're not going 3-1 to the Super Bowl yet. Look, come on now. We only got 4 games in. Let's relax.
Okay.
Before we get all in here, I got to throw a couple pictures for Jerry here. So here's his first picture. I know that place. Who are those handsome guys, Jerry?
Well, there to my left that's Josiah, and to my right is Jonah. And that picture was taken about a year and a half ago, and now Josiah's 6'5". So he kind of shot up on me.
Yeah, you're going to have to get a taller lens on that bad motor scooter. And here's this picture here, right here, from Jerry.
Yeah. That's strictly for John Brent right there.
Yeah, hey, I'll take it. I'm a lifelonger, baby, but I'm gonna always complain about them.
I agree with what Alan said. True blue, you pull from no matter what, man. I tell you, I wish we had one more person on with us today, but he's in heaven because old Chris White, man, he was a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan.
Well, I am going to throw this out here. I did invite George Boo Bates on here too, but he told me he was too busy and he didn't have time to talk about anybody but the Titans who happened to lose
Probably worrying about
in overtime.
Probably worrying about them Titans.
Yeah, he probably need to make a sacrifice so they can actually win a damn ball game, to be quite honest with you. But I'm going to tell you, I got to show you this here because this is how you raise them right. I just raised the grandkids right. You see, they wearing Dallas. They ain't wearing the Chiefs stuff there, coach. Just throw it out there. They're wearing Dallas Cowboy stuff, and then we can move on after that. So,
well, I'm a tight end guy. I don't know why. I've got a Witten jersey and I've got a Kelsey jersey, so I don't know.
So, man, we got to start this off, and here we are. The coach and I, we did a podcast, and we had Alan Bailey and we had Jerry Jackson and Craig. For some reason, we didn't have you on there, and I don't know why. Slapped me silly. But we made our guesstimations of how the NFL would go. And we officially, as of right now, there's 2 games left tonight, one tonight, one tomorrow. But other than that, we officially finished what most people would call the first quarter of the NFL. So with that, we're just going to throw it all the way around the room. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Craig. Toney, has it changed? Has it gone different than anything you thought so far this year?
Yeah, it has, really. I mean, I'm thinking about the biggest surprises. What surprises me the most, honestly, when I looked at all the other things, Arizona's sitting there 4-0. They're strong. Surprising a little bit. The Raiders 3-0 have not beaten some slouches. They're pretty good. But the biggest surprise to me is just the whole Dallas Cowboys, the way their defense is playing, unbelievable. Their intensity level. I didn't expect Dak to come back the way he's come back. I mean, that's 4 games now. And I have not seen him play a bad game. The decisions he's making, he obviously got tremendously better. And this team, offensively so far, they faced 4 different defenses, 4 different schemes, and they've had an answer for every one of them. And so I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised at the level of play my Cowboys have put on the field right now. I did not expect that. I expected maybe 2-2 at this point. Should it be 4-0? Could be 4-0. After playing starting off with the Bucks. But, yeah, big surprises.
So I got to throw it over here to Alan. You got any surprises in the NFL? It can be the Cowboys. It can be anybody here. What that it kind of caught you off guard?
Oh, no, I was ready for you. I've been doing fact checking all day today. I'm going to tell you who I'm really surprised about. And don't get me wrong, I don't like the Steelers at all. But for them to be 1-3 shocks me. I mean, they're on the verge of having their first losing season in 13 years with Tomlin. And the other thing is, you got some teams out there at 3-0. I mean, 0-3. They might as well. Or, a matter of fact, some of them went to 0-4 to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville might be the only one. The Jets ended up winning in overtime, I think, today. But if you're 0-4, you might as well start playing for draft, because there's only been one team in history to go to the playoffs starting out 0-4. And that was the 92 Chargers. And they ended up finishing 11-5. So if you're 0-4, you might as well start playing for the draft pick. Ain't no big time quarterback coming. So I don't know what you're going out there after. But these teams, they all talk about it's the quarterback. No, you can't blame. They got rookie quarterbacks, but hey, they still got. I mean, Jacksonville got the number 1 draft pick. He shows signs of life every once in a while. But yeah, the Steelers is my big shocker right now. Steelers being 1-3, I'm shocked.
So what about you, Jerry? What's been the big surprise for you?
That's funny because you and I talked all day today, back and forth during the game. But after the game, I did what Alan did. I looked at some things and talked about it. But Pittsburgh, I grew up with Alan in Pittsburgh. That was my big shock as far as where they are. And man, it looks like Big Ben's on his last leg to me. He's not finishing, not getting things done like he used to. And my surprise, honestly, is Kyler Murray. He's got Arizona playing really, really well. You know, they played a good Rams team. Stafford's been playing well, and they jumped all over them today. And they made a statement. You know, the Rams, they exposed the Rams a little bit today.
What about you, Coach? What do you think about this? Who's been your big surprise?
I've got 2 or 3 things that surprised me. Number one, the thing that surprises most is the strength of the Raiders. The Raiders are a team that looks like they're on a move. I mean, they got a great coach. I've always loved Gruden. Carr seems to just be a winner, man. And I'm telling you what, the defense, I mean, it just seems like a team that is going to make a push. And that AFC is going to be tough playoff bound. I can just feel it. But in the NFC, I tell you, I was thinking before the games today, my 2 biggest surprises in NFC are the Cardinals and the Rams, and them getting to play today. It just shows that maybe the Cardinals are on a little bit of an uptrend. But I tell you what, Matthew Stafford with that team, I mean, you have to think, but they're 3-1. He just got there. Imagine the second part of this season getting close to the playoffs. That's going to be a team you don't want coming in. Let's just put it this way. If I was the Dallas Cowboys and we win the East, which I think the Cowboys will win the East, and you have one of these teams that come in that's a wild card, it'd be someone like the Rams or someone, man, that's going to be a tough deal inside the dome playing somebody like Stafford. I would be a little bit worried about that. But my biggest surprises is those 2, and also how terrible. And I said it last week. I can't believe how terrible the Philadelphia Eagles are. To me, they're terrible.
So I'll say a few things here. I'm going to hit everybody, and then we'll throw it over to you, Coach. Is what I got on this here is, first of all, Craig, Toney, the Dallas Cowboy defense, I'm shocked. I cussed the draft. I'm like, why do we pick a linebacker when we got linebackers? Why do we not pick a cornerback when we need a cornerback? You know, why? And then we pick people that when we selected them, if you looked at their scouting rating, we'd select somebody 3rd round, and they were ranked to be scouted to be picked in the 7th round. So I shook my head. So much for what I know. Because if you pull today's game, there were 5 sacks, 2 by Randy Gregory, 3 by rookies. And that dude that I can't say his name that starts with an O, I'll be honest with you, he's had like 3 sacks already. The other thing I'll say is, if we are not talking about right now at this point, if we shut the league off and stop football today, Defensive Player of the Year, and we're not talking about Diggs, then the trophy's invalid, because he should right now probably be one of the top 3 in the defense. He should be in that equation, hands down. Something that I've talked to Alan and Jerry about before about our team is the last 4 years, we've always talked about Dak and Zeke and the future of the Cowboys. Right now, we're at a point where we're talking about Parsons and Diggs finally as somebody from the defense being future stars. So the defense has surprised. I thought the defense would do good because at the tail end of last year, they were stingy, but I didn't think they would be this good. Now, moving along, I am really surprised about the Steelers, and I hate them too, Alan. I can't stand them. And with Jerry, you got to forgive me, Jerry, because I got rammed up in the Cowboys. I forgot who you talked about there. But the coach with the Eagles, I never expect them to do anything. I thought Jalen Hurts would surprise us a little bit. Jerry, you talked about the Cardinals. I will say this, though. Everybody out of the West, the NFC West and the AFC West, we had talked this before the season started. Those are the 2 strongest divisions, and nothing surprises me out of them because the Cardinals, you got D-Hop. I'm just throwing it out there. That's a whole different receiver compared to everybody else. There's only like 2 in his category. And then you had a solid defense behind that. So that doesn't surprise me, to be honest. What I will say, though, is some of these teams like Tennessee Titans, I didn't think they would do as great, but it looks like Derrick Henry is Amari Cooper. He has a great game, and he has a couple of games. He's just like, what the – I just watched him run into a guy and fall straight down today. You would have never saw that 2 years ago with Derrick Henry. You'd have never saw that, you know. And so I just think that Cincinnati Bengals surprised me, 3-1 right now. Who would have thought that, you know? I never have given the Ravens much credit because they go to the playoffs and they do a Dallas Cowboys. They look like a high school team once they get there. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. There's been a whole lot of surprises. The Saints, I didn't expect them to do much either. I was really shocked the Jets won today. And they almost gave it away because that quarterback should have thrown the ball instead of trying to run it, and they could have done a 4th down and 1 and ended the game. But he made some bonehead plays. He's a rookie. He's going to. And they still came out and won the game somehow. And, I mean, fate had something to do with that. So, anyway, we're going to throw it over to the coach because he got better questions than I got. So, go ahead, Coach.
Well, I'll make sure that I get to my answer after I get to everyone else. But I love this question when I saw it is, now that we've seen 4 weeks in the NFL, not preseason and not what we thought by getting draft, there's no way we could have thought Parsons and Diggs are going to be as good as they were. But now that we've seen these 4 games, guys, what is your prediction going forward between now? I don't think we should go playoff, Super Bowl and all that, but just think prediction for the year to get to that playoff run. Now that you've seen the start of these teams, not just the Cowboys, but the teams that we've been talking about, I think I'll start with Alan, then we'll just go Alan, Jerry, and Craig up that way, and then we'll end with the vet and then myself.
I'm going to stick with what I said the first time we talked about this. I mean, the Cowboys defense, I'm going to tell you what, I ain't seen a defense in Dallas like this in, I'm going to say 10, 15 years. I mean, today there was some hitting going on out there today. I mean, our safeties were even hitting folks, cornerbacks hitting people. And if you're throwing at Diggs, I mean, hey, that's almost as dumb as throwing at Dion. So I think the Cowboys, I honestly think the Cowboys, the way we played with Tampa, and Tampa was healthy then. If we'd have had that kicker would have been right, we'd be 4-0 right now and shocking America. I think they're suspects. Tampa's going to be knocked off. And, more than just the one time so far. But, I think the Cowboys, I think we can make a push all the way to the NFC Championship without a doubt. And I'll answer it later, but I'm not real positive who we'll play in that game yet. Probably Tampa Bay.
All right, Jerry, what you got?
Well, my initial was 12-5 when we first talked about it. I think we're better now. And I've given Ian Griffin, Command Sergeant Major, crap over the last couple of years about his defense. And I give him a little bit today because and I agree with him because McCarthy took his foot off the gas and we let him feel a little bit comfortable about getting back in the game. But I will tell you this, Ian Griffin, I am proud of your defense. And your defense is rocking and rolling, and Dak looks good. Zeke and Pollard with that two-headed monster, that's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna be surprised if we lose 4 games. I'm not. I mean, I've looked at our schedule, and we can easily win every game from here on out. Whether we do or not depends on our turnovers and our coaching. Because sometimes it's like we got things working and all of a sudden we just go conservative for some reason. And we need to pour it on them. Show no mercy. What do they say in Remember the Titans? What did he tell him? Run it up, Herman. Leave no doubt.
Yeah. Our coach is our weakest link right now.
Man, that's good stuff. Yeah, I love that. Leave no doubt. Run it up, Herman. Good stuff. Man, I'm looking at the NFC, and there's some loaded teams in this deal. Because when you come down that back stretch, you got to have 2 things. You got to have an offense that's not one-dimensional, and you got to have a dang good front 7 on your defense that can put pressure on and create staff. And there's some teams, you start looking at the Bucks, the Panthers weren't bad, the Rams. I mean, those teams are loaded on their front 7, and they're multi-dimensional. But, man, I just haven't seen anybody better week in and week out right now than our boys. But the thing that keeps me on edge is, man, you're just 1 or 2 injuries like anybody else is away from being in a heck of a mess of a trouble. If our big left tackle goes down like he has the last 2 or 3 years, at one point in time, you're in trouble, because that starts affecting your offensive side of the ball, and you got to make some adjustments. But, man, so far, Kellen Moore is dialing up some games. And, and they did overcome, having a couple of guys out a couple of weeks ago. which was surprising. But I'm sure any team, it comes down to that. If you got guys getting hurt, it changed the whole thing. But they just got to stay healthy. But man, you got to go through the Bucks. You got to go through the Packers. I don't think the Packers are done. I mean, they're not. That's still a dang good football team that you don't want to face coming down the stretch. So, teams that can stay healthy, Dallas stays healthy. They can play with anybody in the league any given day. And but they got that NFC is just a stacked conference right now, especially coming out of that one division where you got the Cards, the Rams. It's some good stuff, man.
Go ahead, Vet.
So there's a couple of things I'll say here is on the Cowboy part is, we hadn't had Collins, the right tackle, the last 2 weeks. It ain't like we missed him. I hate to say that, but it's not like we missed him. We hadn't had Gallup, and that's been the big one is like I'm sitting here thinking we should trade Gallup right now. As soon as get him back, play one game, give him 150 yards in that game, and then trade him like ain't nobody's business. I'm a business guy in this. And I'm like, trade that bait away, man, because you're not going to get him next year. And then I love Wilson, man. When Wilson plays, I love to watch Wilson play. He is pretty good. So, and then we don't have D-Law, and then there was another defensive lineman that's out. And we still have not seen our second-round draft pick, Joseph, hit the field yet. That's the other cornerback. So we don't even know how that is. So those are some things there. I think Dallas, I've looked at the schedule too, and, they have some hard games they got to play in the season, not counting the playoffs. But in the season, they do have the Chiefs. They do have the Raiders, which are hard teams to play. And they already played the Chargers, so that was a good thing. And they had the Broncos. But I think the Broncos are one of those 3-0 teams. Now they're 3-1. That we just saw who they really are, even though it was Teddy Bridgewater was not there. And Teddy Bridgewater's played some good games. I just think that it's one of those 3 or 4-0 teams that, like, okay, that's all they did the whole year. I don't think a lot of them, although they have a really strong secondary. And but I think the Bills are the real deal. I think the Bills are the real deal in the AFC. And right now, I wouldn't have said this at the first season because I said it was the Bills, the Browns, and maybe the Chiefs. I think Chiefs have faced some humbleness, one, and I think everybody's got them on their target, and they practice up for them, and so they know them. The question is, can they overcome it, week in and week out, or are they going to overcome it 1 week and 2 weeks and then face adversity again? Because to be honest, the Chiefs really have not been used to facing a lot of adversity. Because the AFC West was a pretty much shoe-in. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'll say the AFC North, I'm surprised the Bengals, but I think the Browns will prevail, and the Ravens will hang in there. Nothing out of the AFC South scares me at all, what they could do. There ain't none of them calling the Super Bowl. On the NFC side, though, the NFC West is loaded. Other than the 49ers right now, none of those teams I would want to play in the playoffs at all. I will say I wouldn't want to play the Carolina Panthers in the playoffs either once they get Christian McCaffrey back, to be honest, because they were able to put pressure at times. And we had some early things that turned our way that changed the momentum of the game. I wouldn't want to change that. The Bucks, I think they're showing some age, to be honest. They're the exact same team as last year, but they hit a good run. They did a New York Giants thing last year. They hit a good run and walked it all the way into the Super Bowl. You got the greatest quarterback. Then you have the Packers. I don't care what we do, but that is the thing that right there, the Packers is our nemesis in ways that we just can't even talk about. Aaron Rodgers carries the whole damn rabbit in his pocket, not the rabbit foot when he plays us. I mean, it is what it is. They could be down with 2 minutes left and they got 10 points to get, and somehow he magicians 10 points out of it where there's no way on earth it could happen, but he does it. And so I would not want to play them in the playoffs at all. There's nobody I fear in the East. But I think, honestly, looking at our schedule, we could easily go where we only lose 4 games this year. I believe that. But Alan Bailey, I agree with you 100%. Right now, our weakest link is our head coach. He has made some dumb things. He almost put the Panthers back in the game today. He took Diggs out. I don't have a problem you taking Diggs out, but don't tell everybody else take a knee and don't go to the conservative side like that. He almost took us out of the game. some of his decisions hurt us in the first game. So anyway, that's just me. So go ahead, Coach.
Well, I'm going to say a little bit about the league, and then I'll end with the Cowboys, what I think on that. But I tell you what I see in the AFC is pretty simple to me. It's a tough division. It's going to be, I mean, a lot of those teams, like you playing in Buffalo, you're going to be playing outside. That's a huge thing. If Buffalo ends up having the number 1 seed, you're going to be playing in the snow. Buffalo, New York, in January is going to be in the snow. Also, I'm more impressed with the Bengals, I think, than I am with the Browns or the Ravens. And I really think that the Bengals, Burrow's just a winner. And the way that they've been playing, I really think that they're going to be a tough team as an out. I said early on that Tennessee Titans were going to be a team that could make a run for it. But I saw something today with them. You were right about the running back. I mean, Henry acted like he just hit a wall. He's done or something. Not that he's done, but, he would run through the wall. Now he's actually stopping at the wall. It's a little bit weird seeing that. Now, I'm going to make a little bit of I'm not trying to make enemies, but I will say this. You are totally correct. If the Cowboys win the East, and let's say they don't have the first 2 or 3, or the first 1 or 2 slots, and we get that home game and we have to play someone like Arizona or the Rams, if that flips that way, that could be a problem. But the biggest problem is if we have to go into Lambeau Field in January, that would scare the crap out of me, having to go to Lambeau in January and then turn around and having to go, let's just say, to a team that has all 22 starters back on a team that just won the Super Bowl. There's a lot of teams like that have older players. Yes, they might look old in the beginning of the year, but they've been saying about Tom Brady for the last 7 or 8 years, the first half of the season, he looks old. But when the playoff push comes and when the playoff run comes, he's a different beast. And you've got that same team. Just imagine us having to beat the Rams, having to beat Green Bay in Green Bay, and then having to have an NFC championship. Say if it is in Dallas, or say if it's in. That's just a tough run. I will say right now, the Dallas Cowboys defense is. Somebody said 15 years. I started thinking back to the mid to late 90s. I'm not talking about when we won the Super Bowls, but some of those people were leaving. But that team having those people on it, those headhunters, those guys like Darren Woodson that pop you in the middle. Diggs is a freaking player. I hadn't seen a player like Diggs in a Cowboy uniform in 20 years. Now, I ain't saying he's Dion, but I'll tell you what he is. He's got Dion mentality, and he's got Darren Woodson freaking pop you in the mouth. So that's a good combination to have. What I think about the Cowboys, I said at the beginning of the year that they would start 2-2 or 3-1, and I'd be happy with that. They're 3-1. But the way they're 3-1, Vet, makes me feel a whole lot better than that 8-9, 9-8 that I said. And I will tell you this: I would love for them Dallas Cowboys to be 12-4 or 12-5 or something like that. I would love that, because I think to win it, they're going to have home field advantage out of Lambeau and out of Tampa Bay. They're going to have to. So it is looking up from what I saw early on. Dak Prescott, to me, has had the best 4 games of any quarterback in the NFL this year. There's no doubt about it. It's not that I'm not a big Dak fan. I don't think he's going to take us to a Super Bowl. I've always said that. But there's nobody who's played better 4 games this year at quarterback in the NFL than Dak Prescott.
So with that there, and I will say this about Dak. Today was the first time we actually saw him really run. He jogged a little last game, and he hadn't done that yet. And that's a whole other dimension of our offense that I like that. We're kind of tucking that in there and using it when we have to. Second thing I want to say before I get out here to say about them Cowboys is last week we played the Philadelphia Eagles, and understand it was only 2 weeks, but 2 weeks in, they were the second-ranked defense in the NFL. This week here, we played the Carolina Panthers, who was the number 1 ranked defense in every category, had not allowed a single rusher over 25 yards, and Zeke himself hung 143 on them. In one play, he ran 47. And I will say that, to me, is impressive. Those are the solid things that builds it. So I'm going to throw it out here. How about them Cowboys, and what do you got to say about that? Go ahead, Coach. I'm going to start off with you.
Being a coach, that I used to look at stats, I'd always say take the longest run away from somebody and throw it in the ditch. Take the rest of those runs and let's see what we had for the game. Zeke Elliott, take that 43 away. He still went over 100 yards on those suckers with the tough yards.
Yeah.
Take away the long run. what they did to their defense, they are a number one. The Eagles ain't going to be a number one defense in the year.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, the Carolina Panthers are going to be in the top 3 at the end of the year. And what the Cowboys did was 2 things for me I saw. Number one, they can move the ball on them as much as they wanted to. But number 2, since we do have a defense, we don't have to score 35 points a game to win now. That's going to go huge going down the stretch.
I agree. So we're going to throw it off to Jerry Jackson next. Go ahead, Coach. Jerry, how about them Cowboys?
Man, I was so happy today. I was cussing too because I thought McCarthy was supposed to let them back in, and just, man, me and Ian was both texting back and forth like, what in the world is going on here? But man, Diggs, Ian and I, we keep talking about Everson Walls, man, and Diggs is definitely an Everson Walls. And we were, and what's our other safety that got called for the personal foul today for lighting somebody's world up? Keezy or whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good clean hit, man, with your shoulder and, the things that's textbook, and then you get flagged on it. But I'm proud of our Cowboys. I mean, I really am. Dak come out and he's been hurt and he come back out like Craig said, and man, he's come out with a vengeance. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's been watching our podcast and he sees how John Brent talks bad about him. And he's just like, here you go, John Brent, get you some of this. And he throws down 4 touchdowns. So I hope John Brent you his motivation. I really do.
I do want to say one thing before we end up with Craig. We'll let Craig end it. But I will have to say this. Sometimes there's plays as a coach that you have to do to get your team to change from a culture. Because, I've talked about this, about having a culture here has not been a winning culture. I've not been the biggest Kellen Moore fan, but what he's done in the last 3 weeks has been pretty impressive. But what he did today on 4th and 1, when he could have ran that ball at the middle or tried some little quick throw to do that option with an option, that lets the players know that this guy here is ready to go. And he is ready to go forward now. They're going to trust him a whole lot more than they did last week. And we need to start trusting him more as fans too.
Coach, I would rather send a tight end out there naked and do something different than do the same darn play that they stop us on, to be quite honest with you. Craig, throwing to you, and we'll get it over to Allen after that. So, but before we do, Jerry Jackson brought up Everson Walls thing, and I want to throw this out here. Deion Sanders was great, and he's a Hall of Famer, and Diggs is nowhere there yet. But on his best year for the Cowboys, he had 5 interceptions. So anyway, I'll throw it over to you, Craig.
Good stuff. I was listening to Talking Cowboys a couple of days ago, and it's funny you mentioned Everson Walls because they said Diggs spends a lot of time watching Everson Walls film, and how he covered and how he played the game. And so he's modeling a lot of what he does. But, man, how about the Cowboys? The confidence factor they have right now. You want to keep it there. You want to see how they bounce back when they get punched in the mouth at some time. You're going to get punched in the mouth. These are NFL players. They're good. Somebody's going to punch you in the mouth, and you're going to have an ugly game. How do they bounce back? Because right now, it reminds me of the days when Troy, Emmett, and Michael were lining up on 4th and 2, and like, you're not going to stop us. You're just not going to stop us. We're fixing to run it, and you're not going to stop us. That's the mentality they had today. The fire in their defense, like I haven't seen that since you had Ken Norton and Darren Woodson back there, and Charles Haley. They're not those caliber players. Micah Parsons might be. I was like you, Vet. I'm like, why are we drafting this dude? But this dude's legit, man. Defensive end, linebacker, and coverage up the middle. He's a monster. And Curse, the other defensive back, man, this dude is making plays every other play. He's on somebody. So I just like their confidence and I like their fire, man. And that's one thing I love about Dak. You want to see him win the big games. I'm kind of like John Coach on that one. You want to see him win the big games, but the guy's a competitor. And you got to have that in leadership. And this team has got some leaders on this team now. They didn't have this 2 or 3 years ago or 4 years ago. They've got some leaders on this team that just hate to lose the game. And that's going to keep them rolling. So I'm like, how about them Cowboys? Let's see what they do.
So Craig, I'll say this is when I saw the Eagle game, when I went up there and saw it, one thing I looked over at my friend Ken and I said, we are playing this game like we own the East. That was the confidence level they had. They walked in there like they owned this game. And I said, we haven't played like that in a while where we said, hey, we're it. We own this. We got this. And they haven't done that. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Alan. How about them Cowboys?
Coach, you said Kellen Moore. I'm gonna tell you what, that kid's grown up. I mean, last year I wanted him when he went. They said they were trying to go to Boise State to be the head coach. I said, man, I'll come pack his stuff for him. Let him go. But he's figured it out. And Ian, he figured it out this week because he didn't run that blasted little bubble pass out there in the flats that we get dropped for lost yardage every play. We didn't run it once today. I'm going to tell you another coach has really changed the mentality of the Cowboys this season. That is Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn has found what he should be. He shouldn't be nobody's head coach. He is doing what he should have been doing since he left the Seattle Seahawks. That guy is a beast. He has got the mentality, got them Cowboys playing, saying, hey, we can play defense. We can hit people. Because I'm going to tell you what, I saw some hits today I hadn't seen in years out of any camp. I mean, except for Heath. I was mad when we got rid of Heath because he'd hit you. He didn't care if it was going to be legal, not legal. Some of them 15-yard penalties are good penalties. Let them people know, hey, we will stick you. So come across there. And my last thing I'm going to say is Dak. Dak took that whole season he was off, and he really grew and matured as a quarterback in the NFL. He is doing stuff now. I'm seeing him check down and throw the ball away, throw it in places where last year and the year before, he would have tried to force it in there, trying to prove to everybody, hey, I can be a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. He has grown since that injury. He took all that time. He must have lived in a film room for the whole year because it's a whole different Dak now.
Well, Alan, I'm going to say this is they said Dak's done all the studying. And back to your point, Craig, they said Diggs studied every play last year that was thrown against him. And he came out and he said, I could have had 8 more interceptions after that. And he was like, I am going to get those 8 interceptions back. That was Diggs. I'm like, I was proud of him because, you know, one thing they show is there's a famous photo of Deion Sanders in front of a TV with his stuff down, and they all think that it's him sporting how nice he looked and everything. And Deion brings up the point. He says, that TV, I had my uniform out because I had to hurry up and put it on, but I'm watching the film all the way up to the game of the opposing team. And that reminds me of what Diggs is doing. He said, I went back and I said, I could have got 8 more of them. So I'll throw it back to you, Coach. It's all yours, man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this much. Being a coach, I tell you what, when you come into a new organization, and, you know, McCarthy, this is, you know, he's just got there. Changing the culture, sometimes you don't see what it does, but what you talk about on the practice field, what you talk about in the locker room, it's just how you say it. And I got a feeling that the confidence that they're showing right now has to come from somewhere. There has to be a foundation from it. And normally that's either a good or a bad thing. It starts with the head coach. He doesn't say a lot, but I have to think that there is a calm confidence that this team has. And I'll tell you, when Alan said about Dak, the way that he looks this year, I'll tell you one of the things that always terrified me of Dak, but I don't see it this year, is he had Danny White eyes for a couple years, which everything was just too big for him. I saw a play where he was looking across and they were showing just him, and he looked at 3 different receivers, and not one time did he have big eyes. And I thought, wow, as a coach, that means he's settling in to the position, and it's not too big for him anymore. That's a big thing from a coach, because when you see a kid with big eyes, you're like, oh, God, interception can happen, or he's going to take off running too fast because he's not comfortable. That's not Dak right now. That's a good thing. And you're right. Sooner or later, they're going to come to a spot where they lose a game, maybe lose a couple games, and we'll really see what they can do. But the confidence and the change of the culture that you can feel in the first 4 games is huge, that 4 or 5 weeks ago we didn't know was going to be there. Last thing I'll say, there's never been an injury that I've seen that Dak had, that someone comes back and is not careful. This big boy is not being careful at all right now. This big boy is playing, and that's a huge difference.
So I'm going to throw it around the room real quick. Everybody's got a minute or less, so I'm going to start off with Craig. Toney, you got about a minute. Anything you got?
Looking forward to it, man. I love it. I love this year. I love the competitive nature of this year. I think the Cowboys on the East, I'm like somebody like it was coach said, Buffalo's legit, man. But I think that whole West, I think the Chargers and the Chiefs are going to rise. I think they're going to rise back up. And I think by the time December comes around, you're going to see the Chargers and the Chiefs in the mix in that division. That's just a nasty division. And, man, who knows? Flip a coin in the NFC. It's going to be nasty when you come December, January. There's 6 or 7 really good teams there if everybody stays healthy. Whoever gets to the Super Bowl is going to have had a heck of a run of about 3 playoff wins. It's going to be pretty good. But Man, it's Cowboys right now. I got to find the picture next time. I found some old stuff, and there's a birthday party of mine way back. Alan Bailey was in it. Chad Anders was in it. We all had our Cowboy number 12 jerseys on.
Oh, man.
So it's like 4th or 5th grade, so I got to find that and send it to you for the next one. That's pretty sweet.
So I'm going to throw it over to Jerry Jackson. I want to see that picture there, definitely.
Man, I don't know. With the Cowboys, I'm like, I was like Alan last year, and I've told you this, Tim. I have never been sold on Kellen Moore at all. I was not sold on him. And man, over the last 4 games, he's on my good side right now. But he's done really well. I think for me, Kansas City, I'm not sure Kansas City's for real this year. They've stumbled a couple of times, and I think they're going to stumble a couple more, and it's so competitive for them that they lose 4 or 5 games, they may not even make the playoffs, and that's going to be huge. But I go with Craig, man. Buffalo's for real, and they're playing well. But I kind of like Cincinnati. They look pretty good. Burrows, I follow LSU in college ball a little bit, just something about them. I've always liked them, and he's been winning since college, and he's doing well again. But I go with what John Brent just said. Dak come back, and he's really he's tested his leg. He's playing hard like it never happened. And if you look at Saquon Barkley with his knee, they've been talking about it all week that he doesn't trust it. He doesn't trust his knee yet, and Dak trusts his ankle. He proved that today. When we needed it, he pulled that ball down and down the sidelines he went, and that was big for us. That was a turn in the tide right there for us a little bit. But we needed that first down, and he got it. But he is trusting his ankle.
So, Alan, what you got?
Hey, it's been another great podcast. Now, like I said, I love these things. I listen to you every time y'all are on. In fact, when y'all did all the pre-recordings for you, when y'all took y'all's second vacation, must be nice. Some of us can't take one vacation, but y'all took 2 of them. But I listened to all of them in one day, so I couldn't have nothing to listen to during the other weeks while y'all were gone. But hey, let me tell you something. Kellen Moore's doing an outstanding job. Dak's doing a great job. If we can keep Zeke happy with the 2-headed monster we got going right now, and he don't get mad because he ain't getting the ball as often. I mean, he got it today a ton. But when we bring Pollard in, he's a game changer. That little cat's fast. He's not as strong as Zeke, because Zeke will carry a whole defensive line 6 yards. But it's a game changer. We just got to make sure we can keep Zeke happy and bring Pollard in and keep that 2-headed monster going. Kellen Moore's doing a good job. Stay away from the little bubble pass. McCarthy needs to realize that we run the football in Texas. That's his big problem. He's never had a running back in Green Bay so he could run the football. It was always let Aaron throw, let Favre throw, let Aaron throw. He's got to learn we run the football down here. He needs to watch some good coaches with time management, because he's horrible at time management. He's done it almost 3 games. Today, you could have took Diggs out, but, man, wait another series. Let him stay in another series or 2. Then said, we still had 8 minutes on the clock. He might have got another interception today, and he'd already been at 6 for the season. But, hey, I've enjoyed it. I enjoy every time I'm on here. And, hey, keep up the great work with these podcasts. And, hey, y'all, hey, looking forward to seeing all. We need to do this around a fire with cigars. That's what we need to do.
Man, I'm in.
I think it's a great idea. And I also think that we need to do this in 4 more games. The next
4 more
quarter.
games, yes.
Yeah, every quarter we need to just do this one here and see where we're as a measuring stick. So I'm going to throw it over to the coach to finish this out, and then we're going to say goodbye to everybody.
Well, sure. And being a coach, I tell you what, one of the things that I do not – that I guess the only bad thing I can say really right now after 4 games of the Cowboys is the game management, man, the clock management before halftime sometimes has been so suspect, and I'm throwing stuff at the TV. But I think it comes back that he's got to trust Dak. As good as Dak is playing, he needs to trust Dak like he would if it was Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. Because I guarantee you, if he was in Green Bay and they had that time before the half, I think it was last game, and they had the timeouts that time, there's no way he's kneeling the ball. He's going for the gusto. Well, guess what? Dak Prescott is playing like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre right now. You've got to ride that wave. He needs to go. Guess what? Let's say he throws an interception, they run it back. Your team's playing so well. Who cares? Let them go. Let them be behind by 10 points. And let Dak have a chance to bring them back. You're talking about the confidence they got now. Let them get down by 10 and let him bring them back in the fourth quarter. That confidence will be sky. But he has to manage the game better, because when it gets to be tough teams, say you're playing against the Green Bay or you're playing on the road somewhere, that management is huge for a team when you're this freaking close. The turnovers, we're winning that battle. And you talk about Kansas City, that's why they're 2-2. They can't hold the ball, and he can't quit throwing interceptions. And people can't quit letting it hit them in the hand and fly over them. So right now we got that Dallas Cowboy into positive. We need to ride that wave. Try some things. And I love what Kellen Moore did today on 4th and Wood. When he did that, I clicked the channel. I said, baby, not only have we won this, but we're going to win some more because of that play.
So, man, this has been an awesome podcast. It's been awesome when the Cowboys are winning, of course. My wife gets on to me because she goes, are you watching the tape of the Cowboys again? I said, I've watched it 4 times. You got to watch them when they win, because when they lose, you don't want to watch them. So, anyway. So, with that, I'm going to say from the coach
to the vet.
Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned.